True. Let's go to Comma Green, we steady on the rise. Digging truth from ancient scenes, we open blinded eyes. Rhyme sharp like pirates' lines, we break the bondage tight. Kamji speaking revolution, keep the fire burning. The drums guide our stride, we march with purpose proud. No more silence, we collide, our voices thunder loud. Politics and history, we stitch them in every verse. From Pharaoh's throne to Yaoundé streets, we claim the Kamji verse.
Black Americans are about 13 to 14% of the population.
Yes,
about half of all prisoners are black.
Exactly.
So blacks commit more crimes than whites do. They commit more murders, they commit more arsons, they commit more kidnappings. For example, blacks are 13% of the population and they commit 58% of all the murders.
Okay, let's talk about it. These are obviously racist claims, but I will respond to them as if Charlie Kirk were a reasonable person.
Black Americans are about 13 to 14% of the population.
Yes,
about half of all prisoners are black.
Wrong. Just 38% of America's prison population is black. That's according to the US government. But it makes you wonder why Charlie feels the need to add an additional 12% to the black prison population. Could it be because his bigoted talking points only work if he exaggerates them? If Charlie were actually looking for the race that makes up half the prison population in the US, he'd look no further than white people at 57%.
Exactly.
So blacks commit more crimes than whites do.
Wrong. The word "so" is doing a lot of heavy lifting in that sentence.
So blacks commit more crimes.
He's saying "so" as in therefore, as in one could conclude, but Charlie knows he's lying. Even if he hadn't just lied about the black prison population, Charlie is smart enough to know that correlation does not equal causation, but he's hoping that you don't know that. So he deploys the word "so" to make you think he's coming to an obvious conclusion.
So blacks.
Instead, he's making an illogical racist leap.
Today, we're addressing a claim often repeated by white supremacists, that black people make up 13% of the US population but commit 50% of the crime. This so-called 13/50 meme has several variations. Sometimes it's about violent crime, other times about homicides. All of these versions are misleading or outright false. First, let's look at the FBI's own statistics. Black people make up about 13% of the US population. According to arrest data, they account for roughly 25% of all arrests, 33% of arrests for violent crime, and about 40% of homicide arrests, when we include cases where the offender is unknown. But here's the key point. Not every crime reported leads to an arrest. The FBI's clearance data shows that only about half of reported homicides are ever cleared, meaning an arrest is actually made. When you factor that in, black people are confirmed as suspects in only about 20% of all recorded homicides, not 50%. Next, convictions. Roughly 75% of arrests lead to a conviction, which brings the number of black people convicted of murder down to about 15% of all cases. Out of those, about 98% end in plea deals, leaving only a small fraction, about 0.3% of all murders nationally, that actually go to trial. When you account for the fact that black defendants have the highest exoneration rate in the country, about 58% of exonerations, the number of proven wrongful convictions further reduces the percentage. So in reality, post-exoneration, black people are confirmed in only about 0.126% of all murders that reach a trial without a plea deal. Plea bargaining is where most criminal cases are decided, and strong evidence shows it systematically disadvantages black defendants. A large study of over 30,000 cases found white defendants far more likely to get charge reductions or dismissals. For example, whites were about 25% more likely to have their top charge reduced, and in some misdemeanor outcomes, nearly 75% more likely to avoid imprisonment-bearing charges. These disparities are largest when defendants have no prior record and in misdemeanor or low-level felony cases, precisely the situations where prosecutors lack clear evidence of future risk and can resort, consciously or unconsciously, to race as a proxy for dangerousness. Misdemeanors matter. Fines, probation, and technical violations can lead to incarceration and create enduring barriers to housing, work, education, and fair treatment in later cases. The result is cumulative harm, individual deprivation, amplified future penalties, and erosion of public trust in the justice system. Fixing this requires making plea bargaining visible and accountable. Collect and publish case-level plea data. Require prosecutors to state reasons for charge reductions on the record. Guarantee early and effective defense counsel. Adopt office-level plea guidelines to limit ad hoc discretion. Expand diversion and sealing/expungement for low-level offenses. And subject outlier deals to independent audit or judicial review. In short, reduce unchecked discretion, increase transparency, and create alternatives to criminalization. So bargaining in the shadow of the courthouse stops becoming bargaining in the shadow of race. Nearly 60% of the people the Innocence Project has helped free since 1992 are Black. And the National Registry of Exonerations shows more than half of the approximately 3,300 exonerations from 1989 to 2022 were Black. Striking, given Black people make up about 13.6% of the US population. Innocent Black people are far more likely than innocent white people to be wrongly convicted of serious crimes. They're 7 times more likely to be wrongfully convicted of murder. And Black men convicted of raping white women are 6 times more likely to be innocent than white men convicted of raping white women. Major drivers of these disparities include police misconduct, deceptive interrogations, threats, suppressed evidence, tainted or suggestive identifications, which occur far more often for Black and exonerees, and the well-documented unreliability of cross-racial IDs. Pre-trial and trial processes deepen the harm. Black and defendants are more likely to be detained pre-trial, creating pressure to accept plea deals. Nearly 25% of exonerees pled guilty, and about 3/4 of that group are Black or brown. Jury exclusion practices and all-white juries make wrongful convictions more likely. And after conviction, Black exonerees wait much longer for justice. About 3 extra years for murder exonerees, 4 extra years for sexual assault exonerees. To address this, the Innocence Project pushes reforms. Stronger police and prosecutorial accountability, recorded interrogations, and better lineup protocols. Timely disclosure of evidence, regulation of jailhouse informants, and improved forensic practices, all aimed at stopping wrongful convictions that fall disproportionately on Black people. The 13/50 meme is not an unfortunate statistical quirk. It's a weaponized falsehood that obscures how bias, discretion, and broken procedures produce racialized outcomes in our criminal system. The data and the lived consequences make one thing unmistakable. These disparities are systemic, not accidental. We must stop treating misleading headline numbers as facts and start demanding accountability, transparent plea data, limits on unreviewed prosecutorial power, early counsel for the accused, and real reforms to police and courtroom practices. Tolerating the misuse of statistics to stigmatize an entire group is not merely dishonest. It is a policy choice that perpetuates injustice. In the statisticulation, fix the system.
Let's go to Comma Green, we steady on the rise. Digging truth from ancient scenes, we open blinded eyes. Rhyme sharp like pirates' lines, we break the bondage tight. Kamji speaking revolution, keep the fire burning. The drums guide our stride, we march with purpose proud. No more silence, we collide, our voices thunder loud. Politics and history, we stitch them in every verse. From Pharaoh's throne to Yaoundé streets, we claim the Kamji verse.